Well, if I'm the only one, it doesn't seem like much of a meeting.
Got Tom. Yeah, we'll give it a few more minutes here.
Oh, there's Tom.
Morning, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah,
Good.
another hot one today.
Yeah, hottest one so far, I think. Where do you live, Tom? What part of the county are you in?
I'm in Acme Heights, down near Rothenbuehler Road.
Right. Awesome. Did you respond to the Coldstream fire at all?
I did not. Yeah, I know the rest of the group did. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I don't know the details whether or not it was some spontaneous combustion in hay or just what the deal was, but I guess they had a rekindle and
Yeah, I feel bad for them. Sure, that's a month or two of feed they just lost.
yeah.
Probably better than one of the outbuildings.
That's true.
Well, we have a skeleton crew today.
Wow, yeah.
We're at 11:02, so I guess we'll give it a couple more minutes here, but if we don't get a critical mass,
Hello, I'm here.
hey, Jim, we were waiting on you. And about 10 other people.
Yeah, I was waiting on my computer to process information for about 3 minutes.
How many do we need?
I mean, we're a 19-member task force. We have one vacancy, which puts us at 18. So I think we need nine to hit the quorum and officially conduct business. Even though I don't think we have any significant voting items today. We'll give it one more minute and then maybe we'll just do a rapid fire run through the high points and call it a short meeting. Got one phone number joining. Whoever's on the phone, I'm gonna allow you to talk real quick just to check to see if you're a task force member or not.
That'd be me, Chris Frank from Lummi.
Hey Frank, glad you're here.
Just here to listen.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. We are at 11:04. Not seeing anyone else jump on, so I might just go ahead and run us through. And given that we are not at a quorum, again, we will just hit the high points and aim for a short meeting and reconvene next month. Okay, so 11:04, we did not hit a quorum. We've got agenda review. Given a condensed agenda, is there anything someone wants to put on our short agenda? Go ahead, Brandy.
Yeah, I had reached out to Triangle about adding 5 or 10 minutes onto the agenda to talk about the collaboration framework section of the plan. And I don't know what capacity there is on the agenda, what space there is to be able to have that conversation. I think that there's some more work that needs to be done on that section, and I think it would be helpful to have a conversation with the task force to see if we can land on whether or not there is something more to do, and if there is, what is it, so that we can make it happen in the time that's left to us.
Okay, well, let's maybe just try to bring that up when we review the work plan schedule. Let's tackle that real quick.
So I'm sorry, we would add to the suggestion is that we add a discussion item to the agenda, but you're suggesting that it can just be part of one of the already scheduled discussions?
Well, that's when we're going over the work plan schedule. So if you have a proposed shift, we can just flag it then. That's kind of our dedicated, I mean, the next one's talking about the fact comments. So yeah, it's essentially a new agenda item. I mean, my proposal would be to put it between review work plan schedule and path forward for addressing fact comments.
Okay.
Any other changes or amendments to the agenda? Okay. We have review the meeting summary. Since we don't have a quorum, we're not going to make a vote. Brandy had one suggested edit, and since we're not going to vote today, I think we'll just forward out her suggested edits to be voted on at the following meeting.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Thank you.
Updates and announcements. Any updates or announcements from task force members? Floor is yours. Okay, well, I think the significant updates on my end from the county, we did present an update on phase 2 of Stewart Mountain to council last Wednesday. Had discussion about the new ownership structure. Whatcom Land Trust is looking to create a subsidiary nonprofit kind of based off of the Nisqually Community Forest. With the collaborative management, the county, the Nooksack Tribe, Whatcom Land Trust would all have seats on this governance board. But the land trust would kind of be steering that ship. And we got approval from council to enter into that $5.5 million grant agreement with Department of Ecology. So got that signed. There was a lot of council discussion about that ownership pathway. Ultimately did not land on a final recommendation, but had some good dialogue. The other update is that August is my last month with Whatcom County. I am. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I just gasped in dismay, but maybe it's good for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bittersweet, for sure. It's been 11 years with the county, but I took a job with King County, going to be running their farmland preservation program down there. So I'll still be living up in Whatcom, and I'm sure I'll find a more citizen-based role to re-engage. But certainly appreciate all of you putting up with me over the years, and I'll still be around if you want to pick my brain on past county stuff. Got it all well organized and cataloged. But as far as the county's role in kind of fishing this out, we're still discussing in-house. I think likely, and this is just my guess, not a confirmed direction. I predict the county likely will not reassign a staff for the final month of getting this over the hump. There will be county staff support and kind of the administrative steps to make sure it gets in front of council. Certainly work with Kirsten in the council office to make sure everything is taken care of. So no worries there. I think I had one other thought, but it has escaped me. So anyways, I'll be around all this month if anyone needs me, and I'll be available as a citizen after that. So just to follow the agenda, even though we're not at a quorum, public comment period. I see we have 2 members of the public, Alan or Kaya. If you guys want to say anything, you want to raise your hands and I'll open it up for you. Not seeing anything. I will keep us rolling on. So review the work plan schedule. I'll pop it up on the screen.
Just a point of process.
Yep,
Are you considered a voting member?
yes.
So if that would give us 9, right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh. Okay, triangle doesn't count. Okay, sorry. I thought we were there.
We're close, not quite. So scrolling down to the scheduled page in the packet. So we are in kind of the final push, and a lot of you have been more tuned into this as being on the review committee. So I guess rather than trying to go through this, are folks pretty clear on next steps and review periods? I think, and maybe I'll just briefly state that, you know, the county perspective, so I'm sharing all of the kind of the review committee's response to the FAQ and the current draft of the Forest Resilience Plan with county staff today. We have a staff focus meeting tomorrow where we're going to try to get into this and see what sort of amendments or tweaks need to occur from a county perspective. They have this August 25th deadline. Hopefully it won't take quite that long to get through, but that's where we're at on the county end of things. Review committee, I guess maybe Steve or Brandy, either one of you want to kind of give an update on the review committee perspective?
Yeah, I can go ahead and do that, but if Brandy or Oliver wants to chime in, or Tom, please interrupt me. We had we've had kind of a busy time. We got the comments back from the FAQ from Alex Harris on Tuesday morning, and we met that afternoon to go over them. And the one document that you've gotten is our rather concise, I think, summary of our responses to the FAQ comments. And I think that the FAQ comments are of two kinds. One is a strong negative reaction to the background section, which they felt the FAQ actually voted formally to ask the task force to eliminate the background section of the draft report and just to begin with the procedures and then go on to the description of forest assets. So that was one thing, and the review committee decided we did not want to remove the background section, but that it needed rewriting in such a way that it would not seem biased and it would cover all perspectives a little bit better, and also perhaps be shortened. So that was one kind of comment. The other kind of comment had to do with the section on forest assets, and the people on the FAQ felt that as the plan went through and described the various forest assets described by ownership group from National Park Service, Forest Service, DNR, large commercial, small private, NGO, tribal, and city and county, I think that's all, then that they should, that they were basically okay. It's just that they weren't, they didn't follow a similar format for each one. And we recommended, yes, that they all be revised so they would follow a similar format. And there were also some specific suggestions about from DNR people on the task force that there were some mistakes in the description of the DNR forests. And so we did actually vote to, or we didn't vote, but we agreed that those changes should be made. I think those are the main, that's a summary of the document. Brandy or Tom or Oliver, do you have anything you want to add?
I would just add that, so we've had time to meet to go over the FAQ comments, and that we're planning to meet again to go over Forest Resilience Task Force member comments. I think that we're charged with trying to do something with that also, and that we have a plan to do that next week, sometime next week. Does that sound consistent with what you remember, Steve?
Yeah, we're meeting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock,
Oh,
actually.
this week. Sorry, next week is this week. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, when people don't have that much else going on, and we may need to meet a second time, depending on total amount and content of the comments that the task force members make. And I think Jen is going to join us tomorrow morning as well. So we'll have more to report on that. There have been some comments here and there. Tom has just come up with some very detailed and I think very cogent comments. And so far, that's the only set of long and complete comments that's come in. I made some, Ellen made some, but they're all, much more haphazard. But as I understand it, and is someone here from Triangle? Melanie?
They're not here today.
Okay. Because they were, as I understood it, they were going to take the comments and do some sort of, collation of the comments before it came to us to, go over and make recommendations tomorrow. And otherwise, because people were asked to send comments to Melanie, I don't know how the review committee is going to get the sum total of the comments to look at tomorrow unless Melanie or Kate collates and gives them to us later today. So does anybody have any idea about that?
Are you saying comments from the Forestry Advisory Committee or different comments from?
No, from the members of the task force.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so for example, I read the instructions the same way that Steve just said, and I sent my comments in to Triangle. Nobody else has seen them because I thought that Triangle was gonna do something to give the review committee something to review.
Yeah.
But it may be that there's something else that that maybe that they're expecting something different to happen and we just need to calibrate.
Is there a way to get hold of them, Chris? Do you know? Way to get hold of Melanie?
Yeah, I'm happy to shoot Melanie an email right after this just to confirm. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. I mean, I also sent individual comments. I will say in the email was slightly confusing because they said share with the review committee. So it may have been they assumed we would know exactly who the review committee was and send to those individuals and not include Triangle, but that complicates things.
Yeah, I'll just email Melanie and Kate after the meeting and try to get clarity on where the comments are, how they're getting compiled, and I'll certainly make sure it gets back out to the review committee as soon as possible.
Yeah, and if it's not by late today, then the review committee will have to postpone this meeting.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get them to you today.
Oh, okay. I mean, otherwise we could look at Tom's comments because they're very detailed and very and we could also share with each other. But presumably there are other people on the task force, such as Ellen, who have also submitted comments or Jen, as you just said, that only went to the Triangle and didn't come to the rest of us.
Okay. Anything else from the review committee? So I think the only other components that I was kind of given direction on. So we've got this share photos. So if folks have pictures of forests or forestry or forest products, anything that touches forest resilience, please submit those. I think there was a Google photo drop by the 25th. That would be appreciated. And the schedule. So we've not, I don't know if you've received the calendar invite, but we were looking to schedule 2 more task force meetings, September 3rd and September 15th. I don't have my calendar up.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
This is kind of another Triangle question. So kind of unfortunate they're not here, but I know we did not schedule those dates because they, or at least somebody was going to reach out to Corey and or Tracy to see if they were available to participate. I don't know if that's been done.
Yeah, Corey has not responded, and Tracy's response was an evening meeting was the only time that was gonna work for her. So that was the question I was gonna pitch to any or all of you. I think Tracy had said 6 PM on September 3rd, but that's a significant change from how we have been doing it.
So I'm fine, sorry, may I speak? I'm fine meeting in the evening, and the question that we also were resolving was, could we have the meeting at a time when Corey and Tracy could join, and then also could we time it so that the Forest Advisory Committee would have an opportunity to engage with us one more time, because they meet on the 2nd. And presumably they would be able to get a more current version of the plan to look at and give us any kind of additional input or comments. Does everybody recall that that was an element of what we talked about in terms of selecting the 3rd and the 4th and a time?
I mean, I guess I don't remember that verbatim. I mean, we got the Forestry Advisory Committee comments, and certainly am supportive of inviting them to attend that meeting. But as far as cracking open the plan again to a more robust feedback session, you know, I'm not certain timing wise we're there, or that would be a lot to potentially manage.
So if the FAC has comments about how we've chosen to address their comments, they don't have another opportunity to talk to us directly?
We
That's
do
what
not
we
have,
were trying to manage for, was that they would see how we addressed their comments, and then we could have a conversation with them if there needed to be one.
yeah, I guess I don't recall that specific discussion point, and I don't think we do have time. I mean, there's been a little bit of a breakdown. You know, Corey and Tracy had the ability to share this with the FAC for 12 months now, and, you know, haven't really done a lot of that. So we are in the 11th hour, 12th hour. So it's hard to kind of keep pushing the deadline further and further back. And I'm not trying to preclude engagement with the Forestry Advisory Committee or the Forest Advisory Committee, but trying to have that expectation that we're gonna do further revisions at that September 3rd meeting is a stretch, I think.
Okay,
I have a bureaucratic question here.
Go ahead.
Which is, as I understood it, today's the meeting that we're in now, or the non-meeting that we're in now, was supposed to have a committee discussion and a vote of the FAC comments and the review committee's response to the FAC comments. Is that still going to happen? Can that happen remotely? Can there be a remote vote if it's what are they? I forget what, if it's posted on the agenda, on the county agenda, or how do we move forward with that? In addition to giving the FAC opportunity to look at our reaction.
I mean, voting via email, I guess I'll just briefly, I mean, the agenda doesn't call out any sort of decision point. You know, we talk about discussing the recommendations from the FAC, but I don't know if there was the intent to actually vote or approve on the review committee response. If there's issues that, you know, current task force members have with the responses, we can certainly discuss them today, but I don't think there was any intent to kind of approve today those
Okay.
review committee responses.
Okay, well then maybe it's a non-problem.
Yeah, as far as voting by email, I would probably have to double check that. I mean, we've certainly had decisions done over email, but whether or not that breaks or sticks with procedures, I have to double check. Go ahead, Brandy.
So will we, okay, so just to clarify also, so the review committee took into consideration the comments of the FAC. We put out to, we thought the general body, the sort of like the response and how to address the comments. And so do we just assume that they're going to be acted on without any kind of discussion? Or do we need to at least leave this meeting today with some kind of discussion that that we're all calibrated, we're all in support of, or there's some concerns that still need to be addressed?
Well, that's our next agenda item, is trying to talk.
Okay, thank
So
you.
let's-
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. I apologize. So my hand's still up. Can I ask another question?
Go for it.
Thanks. So where does the conversation about the extra agenda item that I wanted to see added, where do we take that up? Do we take it up in this discussion right now or later?
Just right after this, as soon as we put a button on the work plan schedule, we will.
Okay,
hear.
thank you. Thank you.
So just I guess if we're looking at the September 3rd and September 15th, are our task force members present today supportive with the evening meeting? If it means that Tracy can attend at 6 p.m. on the 3rd, is that a viable time for folks?
Yeah, I can make it work.
I'm not seeing any disagreements. Let's tentatively schedule our next task force meeting for September 3rd at 6 p.m. And I think for that final meeting on the 15th, we'll just stick with our regularly scheduled time, which is 11 a.m. I believe that meeting's already scheduled. Okay, any other comments about the work plan or questions outstanding? All right, Tom, go ahead. I can't hear you, Tom.
Okay, I did notice that FAC got to review a few more pieces of the overall plan that I hadn't seen before. Maybe I missed them, but there's a section on, I think it was coordination or cooperation, and they had a little bubble diagram and more narrative with that. Is that something new to everybody, or did I just miss out on that?
I think you're right in line with Brandy, so we're gonna tackle that head on. Just as soon as we wrap up this work plan, yeah, we'll take your feedback as well as Brandy's.
Okay.
Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that I trust you all on that committee to take what action is needed, because you will make sure that any changes are within the context of the basic narrative of what we would like to see for forest resilience, and that if we can accommodate stakeholders by making the rhetoric more accurate or friendly, as long as we don't give up our values, I trust that it will work out well with you guys on the job.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and wrap up the work plan. Certainly that graphic helps get us through to the bitter end. And if there's any questions, feel free to follow up. But I'll pass it on to you now, Brandy, if you want to describe the collaborative
Okay.
engagement graphic and your thoughts.
Thank you. So Tom, I'm not sure. I think you're talking about the collaboration framework section that starts on page 28, at least of the version of the plan that I'm looking at. Might be one page before or after. So that's what I want to speak to, is this section, the collaboration framework. I guess I wasn't doing my job as part of the plan review committee. I don't remember engaging in conversation about this section of the plan, and I feel like it's fine, but it's missing. It's like it's not enough. It's not really doing what I had originally thought we were trying to do in the with the outline of the plan. So I just want to back up here and say that I've asked to have a conversation with everyone because I feel like I think there's some more work to do here. I'd like to share with you what I was thinking when I was contributing to the outline of the plan and what I was looking for to have in the plan. And I'd like to share also a couple of concerns. I'd love to hear what people think about it also, because if I'm an outlier, I need to know that, you know. So this section, the way that the plan outline, the way that it works is, right, we move from this sort of like, you know, forest assets and threats and goals, objectives, and actions. And then we move into this section that's broadly titled Existing Forest Management Policy and Guidance within Whatcom County Government. And right away, I'm struck by how it's so not what I was originally suggesting, which is that I had originally suggested that we needed a section that was just, that was pointing to existing, you know, sources and services in Whatcom County more broadly, you know, of which includes Whatcom County proper government, but there's a lot of other stuff happening. And I feel like what's here is good. It's just that it's really focused on Whatcom County. It's making a recommendation for how the county should be collaborating internally within its own structures around the FAC and its relationships with the tribes, et cetera, around this total picture of forest management that we're putting forward in this plan. And I think it would work a lot better if we, at somewhere in this section, we talk about all of the services and resources that are available to tap into and to mobilize, which includes Whatcom County and includes all of their sort of like governmental relationships with, you know, the structures that they have around having a committee, the FAC, et cetera. And so if we can do that, then I think that will just make this much stronger, because right now we've gone from having some general statements about what's the situation and some pretty comprehensive lists of goals, objectives, and actions that are clearly speaking to other players other than the county in terms of what needs to be done. And we need to point to the county to be a leader to make all these things happen, but the county is not going to get all this work done. And I think it's really important to memorialize in the context of this plan all the other players that are prepared to mobilize and or are mobilizing already. So that's my pitch, is that this section would be made stronger by pulling back a little bit and talking about existing resources and services, talking about, yes, you know, that being inclusive of Whatcom County government, and talking about a collaboration framework. And then the thing I want to say about the collaboration framework is that I feel like prescribing to the county about exactly how they should be leveraging all the partners. I feel like that what this is trying to do is say, this is how the county should get this work done. And I don't know that we've really had that conversation as a group around what we think is the best way forward. That's okay. Things can happen, you know, driven by triangle. This graphic really gives me pause. Like, I start looking at it and I start thinking, like, what is this graphic really trying to show us? What is it really trying to communicate? And I think it raises more questions than it helps clarify. I have some pretty big concerns about a couple of pieces of it. And so all in all, I'm not sure that the graphic is helpful. I think we do want to speak to a collaboration framework. I think we want to set it into a larger context of all the resources and services that are available to us to leverage. And then I just don't know if the graphic is helpful, and maybe we just need to jettison it, because I really don't know what it's bringing. So those are my comments about this section. And I like to suggest that there's a way for us, without too big of a lift, to get it done in a way that I'm talking about, as long as everybody agrees that that makes sense to do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I guess where I was coming from is looking at the bubble for the various people involved. State and federal agencies are included in the bubble under the task force. And there's as if I guess maybe that's implying that they're represented on the task force, but I know that the state employees that DNR that are on there, they don't have the direct line up up the chain or the authority to review and make changes. So I would suggest that state agencies, and maybe they be outlined, including, identifying DOE, Fish and Wildlife, DNR, perhaps even state parks. They would be outside the bubble, because if there's going to be collaboration and coordination, that's going to be occurring outside of the task force level.
Yeah, I agree with you. I saw those same things, and I have a whole list of other partners that really should be highlighted in this section, and the graphic omits them. And they're not there in a narrative either. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
You're good. I don't like the bubble at all. I don't I don't think it adds a lot. I also just want to point out that in one of the goals and objectives, as long as it stays there, there's a lot of discussion points in there that a framework needs to be developed on continued collaboration. So I think it's kind of funky to have that as an objective and then identify a framework at the bottom of the plan. With the emphasis that needing to reach out to multiple partners to discuss what that framework was the most important point of that whole entire objective. So I think it's extra funky if then in the plan it's kind of decided for everybody without that communication piece. And I also agree with Brandy on the point of having all of the existing resources. And I think that's kind of the whole point, is the whole plan is talking about how all of the entities are going to need to come together to figure this out versus just the county. And so I think it's really helpful as a one-stop shop to be able to find all of those available resources that are currently available, to be able to look at those objective and action items and figure out where are those gaps.
We'll just try to jump in. So I mean, as far as next steps, I guess Brandy, Jen, and Tom all have a few recommendations or issues with the graphic. Are folks able to kind of like write up some of those thoughts or recommendations for how we could redesign the graphic?
Yeah, I have some thoughts, but my thought was that maybe if people wanted to come together in a conversation outside of the task force meeting, that we could do that. We could come up with the edits to this section, as and put that in there, whatever, add the additional entities, restructure it so that the flow of it made sense. And I just am not, I mean, I like the idea of graphics, but I just don't know that I don't know this graphic helps. I don't know that it really helps. I think it might be better to not have it, personally.
I mean, some of us are visual learners, so there is,
Yeah,
I think,
that's
some
true.
benefit in having a visualization. But yeah, if this is not landing, then let's redo it. So I guess Brandy, are you willing to take a lead role or try to coordinate any thoughts and recommendations on reframing that?
So my question would be, if Steve and Jen and Tom and Oliver are okay and agree with this, that we could take this up as part of the plan review committee and make some recommendations. But if it's just me and maybe, Jen and Tom, then we can meet separately to do it also. It's just about how do we get it in? And it seems like the most direct pathway to get it in is through the plan review committee.
Yeah, it seems it's right. I mean, the committee's going to have to meet. It's a meeting tomorrow, and it may have to meet again, Thursday or Friday. I'm not available on Wednesday, but anyway, we can discuss that tomorrow about how we want to go forward with it. But we're going to be spending some time, so we just kind of fold this in. It seems like.
Well, hey, folks, ends up the garden room got double booked, so I have to go relocate myself back upstairs. But the meeting's gonna continue, but can I pass the torch to Steve or members of the review committee to talk through that path forward, and I'll be back on screen momentarily.
Okay.
Steve, you're in charge.
What? I'm in charge?
Well, so, anyone from the review committee wants to kind of lead us forward. Let's move on to that next agenda item, path forward. So yeah, if that's Steve or Brandy or Tom, you guys are in charge for the next couple of minutes.
Okay. So, where are we?
Yeah, so I think that where we're at is this whole last section that is under the heading existing forest management policy and guidance within Whatcom County government. I think that this, from that point below, we're talking about how to treat this content in a way that's inclusive of the stuff that we just talked about like framing it up to be more broadly all the players and services, and and then I think if we want to look at the graphic, I'm fine. I just don't know where the graphic came from, and I just don't remember talking about it, and I think it needs some work, and I don't know who owns it and how we'd get that work done, all that stuff. Like I agree with Chris that a lot of people having graphics, having pictures breaks up the white space. It makes it easier to take in the content, but it's got to serve a purpose, and right now I think it's problematic. It raises more questions than it answers.
This intersects with the FAC in the sense that the FAC didn't get that far.
Yeah,
You know,
they-
when they were commenting on the plan, they didn't get that far. I forget exactly how far they got, but there's some point where there was an Alex Harris comment that says, "Hey, this is as far as we got,"
Yeah,
and you know, we're feeling squeezed.
yeah.
So we might have further comments from them, or they may not want to take any time with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the direct line input between us and the FAC, it's problematic right now because like they don't meet again until the 2nd of September. And we just in previous scheduled discussion discussed that there really wasn't going to be time to do any more substantive engagement with them.
Right. And the other question I have, and I don't know, maybe we have to wait for Chris to get back. But the other question I have is, all right, we have these comments that we've made on the FAC comments, and Jim has very kindly given us a vote of confidence to go ahead. And but then what happens? Does Dave just get these and then go at it? And then do we have a chance to review his next draft? I think this is particularly important with the fact comments on the introductory section, the background section, which actually they had some comments which were quite unkind. I don't need to repeat them all here, but basically they said it's a pile of garbage. That's a polite revision of what they said. And so we have to make sure that, and we made some fairly semi-specific suggestions about how to change a pile of garbage into a pile of steaming, you know, nice compost or something. And so this, you know, how does this, what happens after we have given our comments on the FAC, and also starting tomorrow after we've given our comments on the task force members' suggestions of the plan?
Yeah.
Where do they go from there?
I want to tell you what I think is happening is that there's the task force, individual task force member comments that are going to be, there's a pipeline to receive and process individual task force comments. There's a pipeline to receive and process FAC input, and there's a pipeline to receive and Whatcom County staff input, and they're coming together by some date for Triangle/Dave to address. And I think that that's what I think is happening. And so I think we're on a track right now. The Forest Resilience Task Force Plan Review Work Group is on a track where we've reviewed what the FAC has said, and we've given input to Triangle/Dave. And now we're going to do the same thing with the individual Forest Resilience Task Force member input. And then Chris is going to keep the pipeline from the county staff moving forward. And then it's all going to come together in Triangle's hands. And ideally, I think what I understood is that we're going to get a version. The task force is going to get a version of that plan that's integrated with all that county stuff, task force member stuff, and FAC stuff integrated. And then we're going to get to look at it one more time as a task force. But it's unclear to me whether or not it's going to be ready for us to look at that September. I think it's the September 3rd meeting, maybe, but I'm not positive. That's what I recall. So for example, I don't recall that the plan review committee was going to be tapped to look at staff input and do something with it, that it was going to go right to Triangle and Dave, and then the task force was going to get to see it later, integrated into the structure of the plan.
Yeah, I think, that this review committee has got a lot to do, and we probably don't need to insert ourselves at an additional point.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. I just was saying that's sort of how I was operating after the last task force meeting. That is the picture that I was working off of.
Mhm. All right.
I think the one thing that was unclear to me was I thought we were trying to have another little bit of back and forth with the FAC, but it sounds like that I was misunderstood, that was not really intended.
Well, they do have a meeting on the second, and yeah, that doesn't give the review committee any time.
Mm-mm.
Because but it would be informative to know whether at their meeting on the second, they're planning to continue, reviewing the sections of the plan that they didn't get to, if they're going to have more comments. Because if they have more comments and then we say, well, sorry, too late, then that doesn't improve relations.
Yeah, and what I recall, just because I sit on the FAC, this will be my 4th meeting in September, so I'm new to it, but they weren't expecting that they had that prerogative to do that.
Okay. You say they were or were not?
We're not.
Okay.
I thought that was it. What the FAC did at the August meeting was what they were being given. And I think I was just thinking that there was going to be another version of this plan that integrated their comments and that they would have a chance to look at. But they're not expecting it. To my understanding is that they're not expecting it.
Yeah, what I had communicated to the FAC was comments received at their last meeting date that was their final shot.
Okay.
But if Tracy is here in these discussions, if Corey is here, and to a certain extent me, then we can certainly channel, right? The
Yeah,
fact.
there's nothing preventing you as task force members from contributing. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just feel personally, and I've told the FAC this, that if Tracy and Corey aren't there, I feel really awkward about being the point person, given that I am new and I've only been at 3 meetings, right? I can't promise them that I can channel them completely.
No. And I came in slightly late, so I might have heard things incorrectly, but as far as the county staff comments on the plan, I predict those comments are largely going to be kind of administrative, or just making sure that we accurately describe what the county's role and staffing looks like, and making sure that we're accurately representing the county role. I don't expect the county to have enormous disruptive comments on the rest of the plan. Not a guarantee, just a guess.
Yeah, and I think that's so great that you're going to do that. And that is one of the criticisms that the FAC had, was that somebody was speaking for all these entities, in terms of their land management priorities. And that's important for those entities to have an opportunity to say, hey, this is what you think you should say about the county's land management priorities. Hey, this is what we think you should say about the Forest Service. This is what we think you should say about our land management priorities. So I think if the county does that, that's a big body of work that will be QA/QC by the right people. And that's a good thing for sure.
Yeah, I'll add, agree on that note. Most of the land trust info is inaccurate in there that I was not able to catch before. So I think that'll be really important as part of the review process. And Chris, that's what we're kind of trying to determine, is what exactly is that review kind of process timeline over the next couple of months, since we are in kind of the final stages. And it's great Triangle has kind of that monthly bucket, but there's a lot of details to get sorted out in those individual weeks at the same time. So it'd be good to get kind of honed in on that.
You say honed in specifically on the county comments, or just on comments and review period?
The whole final process.
Yeah.
How do we get to the finish line, essentially?
Yeah, so like, what I was saying when you came in, Chris, is that I think that what I was understanding is that there's these three pipelines of additional input: county staff input, FAC input, Forest Resilience Task Force member input, and they're all converging into a set of comments and recommendations that are going to go to Triangle, and Triangle is going to do something with them and spit out another version of the plan for the task force to look at. And will that be on the 3rd of September? Is that when we're going to be looking at it? I think it is.
That's the intent, is
Yeah.
that you're essentially, the task force will review more or less the final draft. That's where any new changes will be discussed and reviewed, approved by the task force. Yeah, September 3rd is when everything's supposed to be as near final as possible, pending one final task force discussion.
Yeah, it seems like what could come together by September 3rd is the actual first combination of how the consultants have managed to incorporate comments of the FAC, the review committee, task force members, and the county staff. And they will bring that all together, hopefully a few days before the September 3rd meeting, so it can be reviewed. And then there will, and that, it doesn't seem like that's a final draft. It seems like that's a first complete draft that incorporates everybody's comments. And then there will have to be one more iteration for the final approval on September 15th.
Yeah, I think you characterized that accurately. It's not a necessarily final plan approval, but hopefully it's a discussion and kind of head nod that, yeah, these are good to go, or these are the final tweaks that are needed.
Yeah.
Final plan approvals on that September 15th. Okay. Well, any last thoughts or comments on the back comments review period? You guys have it under control? All right.
Yes, and I think we agreed that the plan review committee will take up this final section and the repurposing of the final section. Make a set of recommendations. Okay, yeah.
Perfect. All right, so next steps, just one more reminder about the photos up to Google Drive. You should have received that email link, but if for some reason you can't find it, just email myself or Melanie, we'll get it back out to you. And the confirming September meeting dates and times, the one thing, Councilmember Strimler was on the phone or still in the meeting and flagged that the county is doing a new open house. I think that same night of September the 3rd, I think it roughly, if not exactly the same time period. So I guess there's a question for task force members, if you had any plan on attending that open house, should we look at a different time, or is it not an issue? Any thoughts on that?
I think I had hoped that Tracy and Corey would join us from 4 to 6, because that's when they meet with the FAC, and I had hoped that that's when they would be available, but I don't know what to say, I guess.
Yeah. Well, let's just tentatively plan on that 6 p.m. on the 3rd, and then I'll just email all task force members and just pose the question if we want to reconsider based on that council or county staff conflict. Okay, so I think that is it. Thanks for participating, and again, thanks to everyone putting up with me as your chair. I have not had a phone call with Carl yet, and he sends his regrets. He had another family item come up today that prevented him from attending, but if all goes well, I'll recommend that Carl kind of finishes the task force out as the chair, acting chair. Yeah, thanks for everything. I'll be around. You
Well,
guys enjoy the rest.
Thank you for all your good work on
Yeah,
behalf of the
Chris.
Yes.
task force and on behalf of Whatcom County and our environment.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss
Yes,
you.
yes.
Miss all of you too, but I'll be moving into my new role as a citizen. We'll see what that feels like.
Okay.
The same will invite us to your party.
What's that, Frank?
It's been a pleasure to have met you, Chris, and I've much appreciated the discussions we've had over the years.
Yep, I agree with that, Frank. All right, well, everyone enjoy your week. We'll talk again soon.
Bye, Chris.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Okay.